Hello, this is Paula Pascual, and today I'm going to show you how to make this beautiful card using the contents of the Tonic Craft Kit, the first one. As you can see, it's very autumnal, and I have enjoyed tremendously working with the dies as well as with all the Nuvo products, because you know I love my Nuvo products, but also this beautiful handmade paper. So I'm going to show you how to do it step by step. The only thing, aside from obviously tonic tools that you may have already and I already had, that I have used that is not included in the kit, like consumables, is actually this blank card. This is 5x7 white, plain white, nothing special about it, pre-scored cards, and because of the size you want around 270 GSM or above. Right, so the first thing we are going to do, this is going to be the three papers that we are going to be using, which is that beautiful kind of peacock coppery or burnt umber sort of pearlescent paper, and it's handmade and it's double-sided, and then the green and the brown craft perfect texture with cards, all included in the kit. Now what I'm going to start doing is, so it's 5x7, so I'm going to cut and going to take, as I mentioned, I'm going to be using the tonic tools that I already have. So I'm going to trim it at 5 and a bit because I want some a little bit bigger than maybe I needed to, and because it's 7 inches, I'm going to just measure it up with the back of my card. So I'm just going to make a mark with a pencil in here, and then I'm going to cut it using my guillotine. Over there it is. There it is. So now I have got a piece of card that is, well, a piece of paper, handmade paper that is more or less the same size. Don't worry too much about the edges if it shows a little bit, because what I like to do is once I glue it, then I trim it everything, so I have a perfect matching card. Now, of course, these beads, we keep them for another project. Then the next thing we are going to be doing is we are going to take our dies that are included in the set. I'm using a magnetic sheet that is not included in the set, but to keep them together. This is the tonic, the medium size, and you can see that even the extra gift for the subscribers, which is the thank you die, which I'm going to be using in this project, they all fit very nicely in here. Now you are getting 7 dies in total plus the extra gift. Right, so I'm going to take first the wreath dies. The wreath dies are versatile, and they are, so it means that you can cut it apertures into your card, or you can make it into toppers using the outer one. You can make it in matte and layering and so many more things. It's really a really cool way of designing dies that Tonic have got that give you extra versatility. Now I would like to have my these 2 leaves on the top left corner. As you can see, you can have them in many different ways, so that's the way I would like to have. Now you can see that haven't glued it together just yet, so I'm going to put it in here, and I'm going to more or less, I like things off the page, so I'm just going to go more or less there, and I do it almost everything by eye. Now I'm going to secure it into place with low tack tape. Because of the nature of the handmade paper, even though this one is low tack tape that usually gets never removed anything, and not ink, it doesn't scratch the paper, but sometimes with handmade paper it does. So you want to put the low tack tape in the inside, because if it scratches a little bit the paper or the pearlescent coat or ink, you want it to do it on the area that we are gonna not use for this project. You're gonna still have got plenty left for another project in the middle. So then I'm gonna take my tangerine plates. Obviously you can use them if you're not lucky enough to have a tangerine, you still can use these dies in all die cutting machines that will take at least, I think it's a 6-inch 6 inches dies. So if you have got the big shots or the kettlebells or things like that, it will work. Obviously the tangerine, I'm just like so impressed about the amount of intricate detail that will cut into it. Things that dies that I would have to go like 3 or 4 times. The tangerine does it right bang in the middle in one pass. Now I'll show you what I mean by scratching it a little bit. So you can see it has a scratch a little bit in there, but not to worry, because this piece we are not going to be using. And that was the reason why I like to put the low-tack tape in the center, so you can see how it has a scratch a little bit. So you could use a piece of tape that it was a little bit more used than mine, but to be honest, if you do that, then because of the nature of this paper, it might slide. So you know what, this is going to be for another project, and I'm just going to be using that bit in there. Put it aside, and now we have got cut basically an aperture into our card. This paper, even though it has gone through, it's deeply embossed, and even it has gone through the die cutting machine, it still retains the detail of the embossed card, that's, you know, the embossed design that came with it. So now I'm going to make sure that it's on my open side, and what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be gluing it with my funky glue pen. You should have in your kits one of them, and then it's just going to put small amounts all over it. You can see how, you know, I'm just kind of adding, kind of going in a little bit. You don't want to put too much, you just want to, if you have never used funky glue pen, or you have got issues with wet glue, what you can do is just put it on the side of your glass mat, and then just use a brush or you know, a sponge as well. You can do it like that, a foam sponge or something like that to apply it. Just have had always good results with it, so I just go directly into the paper. Now that will give me enough wiggle time, and then don't worry too much if it kind of goes over there, and then just press down and then press down. Now you can see that there is some base that are showing off. No worries, because now I'm gonna take my guillotine, and I always carry either this one or the simple one with me, because it's very portable, and of course I have got the 12-inch one in my studio always out. Turn it over, and then there's just a slither in this side, so I'm just going to turn it over, and you can see that I use the edge that is scored to give me straight edges. So now I have got, obviously it's going to be slightly smaller than a 5x7, because I have trimmed about a little bit, but you know, who measures cars anyway, size. So there we have it. Now what we are going to do is we are going to be cutting these elements, all three, and we are going to be good, and we are going to be cutting them one at a time. And for this I'm going to be using the brown chocolate card that is included in the kit from the Craft Perfect set, and it has got that beautiful beautiful weave texture. Now, because first dies, I like to cut the intricate die first. So I like to go in, and then let me see where it is. Yes, that one. Okay. So I like to position them like this, so I know how much around it I'm gonna need, and then put that die in here and secure it with low-tack tape, and then die cut that one. The reason being is because I find it that if I do the outer one first and then try to position this one on top, sometimes there is not enough. If I'm using a low-tack tape that has been used a few times, it will move a little bit. Sorry about if the camera, you know, moves a little bit. That's just because I'm running it through the tangerine, and there I go. So yeah, I like to do first the intricate detail as a rule of thumb, and see how it has like had all those gorgeous elements. And I just think that just like this for a card, you know, on top of a white, it's just such a beautiful die. So now what I'm gonna do is place it again, the die, and it will slot in here. Take the low-tack tape. So it slots into place. Place that one in here, And yeah, that is it. Then take that one away, secure it with low-tack tape. See how much space there is to secure the die in place? That's why I prefer to do it this way rather than cutting it out of the card and then into the card. Through the tangerine or your die cutting machine of choice. And there it has cut out of the cards. So now this, you can see how you can stamp in here. If you have die cut it out of a smooth white card, you could do all your inking techniques inside of here. But instead of doing that, what we are going to be doing is we are going to create it into a proper wreath. So we are going to find the way. So you could do the same thing as before, place the inside die and then make sure, but I'm just going to go in. There I go. And then just gonna put low tack tape, and then gonna die cut it in there, and then just run it through the machine. And there I have got that perfect wreath. Right, now you're gonna, and what I'm gonna be doing is gluing it together to that perfect aperture in there. Now, before I do that, I want to add some dimension to these leaves, even though I'm gonna be putting some more leaves around it. So what I'm gonna be doing is I'm gonna take the aqua flows, and you will have gotten one of these colors, whether is the rustic oak, the evergreen fern, or the spice ginger. If you, like me, love the aqua flows, I strongly recommend to go, you know, to try to get them all three. But you know, they are absolutely awesome for lots of different techniques. And the thing is even on the card that we are going to be using, which is brown, this will dry and you will be able to see, obviously it's not going to be the pure green that you would get on top of white card, but you are still going to get a taint or a hint of the color coming through the brown. It's not just going to be just a darker brown. So you can mix them and matching them. You can add a little bit of detail. You can just add a little bit of darkness here and then just mix in there just to add some kind of random aged look to it, you know, that autumnal fallen leaves sort of detail. There I go. So now that one, I'm just gonna go a little bit of the brown in here to darken those veins, and then going with the yellow. And this has really surprised me because it really, it's hard to see on the camera, but it really, the yellow will, I never thought it would be possible that on brown card a yellow dye would actually show, but the vibrancy and the strength of these colors is amazing. And because they are matte as well, they really allow you to then create a more different effects into it. So I'm just going to show you, this one has dried, so you can see it there how it has dried. Even the yellow, you can see how it has changed the tone, as well as the brown in there. So it's really cool. It's really, they're really fabulous pens. I absolutely adore them. And they're water-based. They have got that soft bristle nib that is just so much fun to use. Right, so I have done that, and because I have got working on a white card, I'm just gonna take my baby wipes to clean this up. Now, usually I would say, well, just spray some water and use a little bit of technique, like a little, you know, pick up technique. But because we are doing this project, I'm not gonna even go there. So just ideally you want to wait until the ink has dried, but you know what, let's live dangerously and let's color in and just glue it all together. and I tend to always glue things first and then trim any excess, because that way I know that I'm not trimming too much at any point. Also, I haven't colored in the edges in here too much, so if there is a little bit that shows, I may go back to it. So then I go, and then now that it will dry clear, but don't worry, because if I put too much, you can always put leaves, which is the intention anyway. The other ones, you can see how it's drying, and you can see that it's changed a little bit the color in here. Now I'm gonna turn it over, and with my largest scissors from Tonic, obviously, then I trim it down. Now I just want to have a little bit of color in there. See, that is what I mean. You can always go back a little bit and add more detail if you wanted with the aqua flows. And then that one with the brown, just to add a little bit more contrast. Obviously, what you can do as well is die cut it second time with different color cardstock, and then layer them on top and give them more dimension. Now we are going to take the green card that is included in the kit, and we are going to take our dies, little dies that to me they are one of the most beautiful sets of leaves ever. I mean, they are tiny, but they are absolutely gorgeous. Place them there, and because I'm using two at the same time, I kind of really tape them together and then just run it through the machine. And then I have, now I know that, you know, we shouldn't really put two dies at once, but sometimes we do. But as long as they are taped together, nothing, you know, it should be safe. But just be now, because they are so dainty, you want to make sure that you pull them gently from the die. So I tend to keep them like so, like in the tape, and poke them out, and then so that way, so then I will go again and again and again. So what we are going to be doing here is we're going to do it slightly different. I'm going to be using the Nuvo blending sponges, which are just fabulous for both the aqua flows as well as the Nuvo embellishment mousse, which is adorable, that comes in this little pot. Is one of my ultimate favorite colors ever, the Indian gold. So I'm just gonna curd a little bit of the colors in here, and I'm using a glass mat from Tonic. It's the A3, which is one of them, you know, it's really cool. Now this one I'm just gonna go in with the green to darken with the brown as well. So you can see, and now I see that I think I like more, a little bit more of the brown. You can keep each color. You can wash them, they are latex free as well with these sponges, so I recommend to get a few sets. They come in sets of 4, and then you can have, say for instance, the autumnal colors together in the same sponge, and so on. So basically what I'm doing is I'm distressing them, I'm just adding some color in there. The yellow obviously is not going to show as much if I put it in the mat and then bring it in, but you can always add a little bit of the little bit detail, and it will dry. It will show a little bit, not much, but you know, enough to create that sort of fallen leaves in the autumn. Now I have got 2 leaves like that, and now I'm going to take this one for the embellishment mousse. I am more particular about keeping one sponge just for this color, and then I wash them, and they just so, because it tends to dry on the top, they just run it through water and then good as new. I mean, it has got some hint of color. Now they fit really nicely in here. Just dab it in, and just, if you do put too much, you can rub it off, just to add some detail of the color of the pearlescent, the shimmer. And there you have, and then just rub with the fingers, you have got that kind of pearlescent mica, beautiful golden tones of the Indian gold embellishment mousse. So you do that, and you do that with quite a few of them. And remember, you can always put more, you know, you can always add more leaves, as if you think that you need more. Let me clean this up. This is what I love, the glass knife. This is now have to be clean. And what I have done as well is to die cut using the larger leaf die, and then I die cut it out of green, out of brown, done exactly the same treatment, as well as that thank you that is included for the subscribers. If not, you can buy it on its own. It's one of the miniature sentiments, I believe, from Tonic. So that one, I have it there. I kind of like it. And you can see how, you know, I kind of changed my mind. What I have done as well is, this is that leaf die cut out of the wreath, just trim it down, exactly the same treatment as the other leaves. And that's the one in here as well, so you can layer them up. Those ones are these ones here, so you can mix. You have got so many leaves in that set, because it's not just the ones that are dies in there. So just, you can see how building all up, building all those bits in there and adding them like so. So to glue them together, what I would do, well, what I will be doing is shape them a little bit and making sure that the top and the bottom of the leaf is kind of going down. That way, when you put the glue pen, you put it just a little bit in there and a little bit in there. So those ones are the points of contact to the actual card. So they just put it in here, and that is how you put it. And now finally, included in the kit is this darling Nuvo crystal drops, which is a 5 ml pot with dark walnut. And what you do is, obviously, I always take a piece of scrap paper, or in this case is my Easy Clean mat. Just do a spare one in there, and then just go in here, just in case there is an air bubble, and let it begin its shape. And there it is, just 3 dots in there. You can maybe do a few more in here. I have also included the crystal glaze, so this one is a completely transparent one, and it's a slightly more runny. So you can actually, with this one, you can glaze over you know, larger areas, or areas that are not necessarily, you don't want it to be completely like a pearl, like in this case. So that is my finished card, and just wanted to show you the card that I did prepare earlier, so you can see more or less that is pretty much the same, but obviously every time that you do it, it's going to be slightly different because of that coloring techniques with the Nuvo products included in the Tonic Craft Kit. I hope you enjoyed, and I hope it has inspired you. See you next time.